So we are on page 317. 417, the kids tell me. We are working again on adding fractions. This is lesson 2, or lesson 20, session 2. We're working more on adding fractions. Yesterday we worked on just a little bit where of just counting them up, right? It's not nothing too hard. We gotta make just adding the top numbers, right?
Yep.
Adding the top numerator. We're gonna work a little more on that today. So for our warm up, look at the two expressions. We have 1/5 plus 1/5 plus 1/5. Then we have 1/5 plus 2/5. How are they the same? Jake?
Because, like you said, you're adding the top numbers, not the bottom. So if you have 3 ones up there and it's 1 plus 1 plus 1, that equals 3. So that'd be 3/5, right?
Yeah.
And then you have 1/5 and 2/5. Well, you're adding the top numbers, so 1 plus 2, and that's 3. So that's 3/5.
3/5. How are they different? Yeah.
Because one's just adding 3. One's adding 3 fractions, one is adding 2.
Yeah, one's adding 3 fractions, one's adding 2. What else, Caden?
They broke it apart.
Yeah, one's broken apart. So, the question, who wants to read it? Caden, go ahead and do this for us.
Josie and Margot are painting a fence green. Josie starts at one end and paints 3/10 of the fence. Margot starts at another end and paints 4/10 of it. What fraction of the fence do they paint together?
So, Josie and Margot are painting a fence green. Josie starts at one end and paints 3/10 of the fence. Margot starts at the other end and paints 4/10 of the fence. What fraction of the fence do they paint all together? It's 3/10. So, go ahead and figure out which fraction of the fence they paint all together. When it says that, is it talking about like the part in the middle where they both are painting? This question confuses me. So Josie and Margot are painting a fence green. Josie starts at one end and paints 3/10 of the fence. Margot starts at the other end and paints 4/10 of it. So it's asking what parts are left, right? More or less? That's what it's asking. What parts did they paint together? So how would you solve this? Or better yet, so how would you solve this? How would you solve this, Los?
We would add both of the numerators together and figure out what is that number plus another number equal to 10.
Or you can just do 10 subtract it, right? So what is in both the numerators added together? Jake?
Oh, the numerators?
Sorry, I meant Gabe. Gabe, what are both numerators added up together?
7.
7, right? So how much they painted each painted 7/10 on their own, right? So we have 3/10 plus 4/10, right? Equals 7/10, Gabe just said. You gotta figure out how much is left, right? Or how much they paint together.
Yep.
How would we do that? What did you say to do, Carlos?
You add a number that equals to 10 with 7.
Or how would it be easier than that?
Subtract.
Subtract. We do 10 minus 7, right? So they know they painted the whole fence. The whole fence is 10 out of 10, right?
Yes.
And we subtract by what they painted apart. 10 minus 7 equals 3 over 10. So together they painted 3/10 of the fence, right? Does that make sense how we did that? Any question? Yes, Nolan?
I thought they paint, add 3/10
Yeah.
7 tenths.
Yeah, because if you subtract, that's how much Josie.
That's how much they have left.
Oh, you see what he's saying?
Yeah, that's how much paint they have left, isn't it?
So all they wanted, okay, raise your hand if you read this question this way. You wanted to find out what was in between them that they painted. Read the question if you're just trying to figure out how much they painted. So, you're right, Nolan. They're not going through and subtracting, are they?
Uh-oh.
They just wanted this answer right there, right?
We overdid it.
We overdid it, didn't we? All they wanted was the two, how much they painted all together. They didn't ask for how much was left, did they? Did we figure out how much was left?
Basic.
Yeah, we figured out not only how much did they paint, but how much was left, right? Does that make sense? Any questions on that? Or just that was just adding a fraction. Adding fractions is pretty easy if they have common denominators. So you could use a picture, right? You could draw a picket fence, right? And paint with 10 boards. Paint 3 of them for 3 tenths, 4 of them for 4 tenths. Then you just count how many they painted, right?
Yeah.
So 3 plus 4 is 7 tenths. Does that make sense how you do it? That's just breaking in the 7 and shading in both parts and seeing what they have all together, right? You also could use a number line like Amelia wanted us to show us yesterday, right? You could break a number, a whole into tenths. You start at 3 tenths because that's what Josie painted, right? Then count 4 more tenths from 3 tenths because that's what Margot painted, right?
Yep.
And you'd end up on
7 tenths.
7 tenths. Does that make sense?
Yes.
We started at 3 tenths. Put a number there, counted 1 tenth, 2 tenths, 3 tenths, 4 tenths. That's 7 tenths. Yes, Jake.
But, like, do you have to, when you're doing this, and you know you have 3 tenths and 4 tenths, could you count up to 4 tenths and then just add on to 3 tenths?
Yeah, you can do either way.
Or
You could do either way. You could start at 4 tenths, right?
and then count to 3.
1, 2, 3. Same answer, right?
Yes.
You could do either way. You could start at either one. So look at the picture. How do you know that each section of the fence is 1 tenth of the whole fence? How do you know that each section of each board is 1 tenth? Chris, how do you know each section is 1 tenth?
Because there's 10 parts.
Yeah, there's 10 boards on the whole fence, right?
Yeah.
So each board is 1 out of 10. The whole is 10, one board is 1, right?
1, 2, 3.
They're all the same size too, right? Yep. There's 10 boards. Number 2, what do the numerators 3 and 4 tell you? Nolan? How much of the whole they painted, right? How much of the whole each one painted? How many tenths of the fence did Josie and Margot paint all together?
7 tenths.
7 tenths, right? How many? Okay. Number 4. Complete the equations to show what fraction of the fence Josie and Margot painted all together. Using words. 3 tenths plus 4 tenths equals.
7.
Using fractions. 3 tenths plus 4 tenths equals.
7 tenths.
What would be the sum of the fraction where 3/10 and 5/10? What if Margot painted 5/10 instead of 4/10? What would the sum be then?
8/10.
8/10, right?
Yes.
Explain how you add fractions that have the same denominator. What do you do when they have the same denominator? Los?
You add the two numerators?
Yep, you add the numerators.
Numerators the ones on top.
Numerator's top. No one's on top. N is on top. Denominators are bottom. Make sense?
Yes.
This is pretty easy stuff, isn't it? So, which strategy do you like best when doing adding fractions? Do you like doing the picture, the number line, or just adding them? Just adding them. Adding the numerator. Right? Number 8 on the next page. Lita and Otis help their mom clean the house. Lita cleans 1/3 of the house. Otis cleans 1/3 of the house. Which fraction of the house do Lita and Otis clean all together? Show your work. So on your own, working on that one. I'll give you 1 minute. Lita cleans 1/3.
So we don't add the denominators.
No. Otis cleans 1/3. What dimension of the house do they clean all together? Alexis, what did you do? What is that? What is it? I can't see it. Huh? You just added 1/3 plus 1/3? Alexis just did this. 1/3 plus 1/3. And what'd you get? 2 out of 3. Or 2/3, right? 1 plus 1 is?
2.
Pretty easy question, right? Mark and Imani use string for a project. Mark's string is 1/5 of a meter long. Imani's is 3/5 of a meter long. How long are the two strings combined? Show your work.
Do we add the denominator?
Do we ever add the denominators?
No. Not if they're the same.
Not if they're the same. We only add them if they're different.
The meter.
We don't do anything with the denominator. Unless they're different, then we find a common one.
What happens, or when are we going to learn for when, like,
The denominator's different.
no, when the numerator is bigger than the denominator?
We'll talk a little bit about that later on. It isn't going to change much, though. Adrian, what did you do? Adrian just has 1/5. 1/5 for Mark's string plus 3/5 for Imani's string, and 1/5 plus 3/5 equals 4/5. Does that make sense? Madison, is this making sense what we're doing here? Pretty easy stuff, right? Any questions, comments, concerns with that one?
No.
Number 10. Paola makes a fruit smoothie. She uses 2/8 of a pound of strawberries and 4/8 of a pound of blueberries. How many pounds of fruit does she use altogether? Show your work.
Mr. Patrick.
What's that?
Wouldn't you be finding one?
She uses 2/8 of a pound of strawberries, 4/8 of a pound of blueberries. She wants to know how much fruit does she use altogether. So what are we doing here? Adding. We're just adding 2/8. 2/8 plus 4/8. What did you get? The 2 plus 4 is?
6/8.
Is that in lowest terms? Can I take a factor? Can I take a factor out of each one of those?
Yes.
What factors do they both share? What's the factor they both share? Sydney? They both share 2, right? So if I do 6 divided by 2 and 8 divided by 2, what's 6 divided by 2?
3.
What's 8 divided by 2?
4.
Now is it in lowest terms?
Yeah.
So are 6/8 and 3/4 equivalent? Yeah, we divided each one by the same number. So now it's in lowest terms. Get used to doing that, alright?
So we have to do that too.
Tell you what. On the quiz Friday, if you put each fraction in lowest terms, I'll give you an extra credit point for every one you do.
So I don't think I'm gonna fail this time.
If you not only add them and do the right answer, if you put each one in lowest terms, I'll give 1 extra credit point for each lowest term fraction.
3A plus.
Does that mean, does it make sense? Get used to putting in lowest terms, right? Doing that right there, making lowest terms. Because here's the deal. In 5th grade, it's mandatory. You have to put them in lowest terms.
What you said the other day, they don't like doing it.
They don't like doing it,
But they have to.
but they have to. Is it hard? You're just finding common factors for each one, right? And dividing by it. That's all you're doing. Does that make sense?
Like, it's actually really easy.
Yes, it is really easy putting in the lowest terms. So get used to doing it, right? Green pages. They are yours. Virtual students, I will see you. You will see me tomorrow. Bye bye. They won't see you. They will see my videos. Smash that like and subscribe button.